can still meet.
You can still meet,
If you don't have a
you will not have a quorum, as of right now, you do not have a quorum, but you can still meet, you have no voting items on the agenda today.
Approval of minutes.
Except for just roll calls.
Oh, that's what I said.
Yep.
Okay.
I just wanted to do it one person.
Okay.
Okay, so another staff person. So we need four actual members to achieve a quorum, and currently we only have the three. So,
All right, well, we'll skip over minutes and agenda and go on to public comment. Are there any public comment? Do you know? Nope. Okay.
Do what? Say again?
No, any public comments, okay. There's no public comment. Okay, so update on Legion Athletic Facilities Concept and Probable Cost Study. Who is in charge of that?
this will be delivered by Sally Thickman, the Assistant Director for Parks and Recreation. Sally, you can come down here, or I can drive it for you if you want me to.
If you don't mind,
Not at
I'll
all.
just stay right here. Thank you. So the purpose of this is to update you on the athletic facility infrastructure project needs. If you'll recall, last year, we provided a presentation of athletic infrastructure needs for capital improvement for potential cost share. The Legion Stadium Commission, unanimously voted to recommend a cost share to fund a consultant to deliver a robust cost analysis for projects requiring design. Furthermore, recommended to incorporate the standalone projects into our respective CIPs at the 1/3 cost share for construction through the city of Wilmington.
Sally, I hate to interrupt you, but it looks like I just admitted somebody.
Tara.
Oh, Tara, okay. Tara Duckworth with New Hanover County Parks and Gardens. Thanks, Tara. Welcome.
All right, so we split these projects up into two different categories. One are the standalone projects. These projects do not require design or construction. Or construction documents, they're considered shovel ready. So with approved funding, the 5 standalone projects can be administered in-house by Parks and Recreation project managers. These 5 projects include Robert Strange ball field fencing and lighting, the handrails at Legion Stadium, LED lighting for Legion Stadium and the backfield and Buck Hardy Field, as well as Legion concessions upgrade replacements. The second category, this is where design is needed. So we agreed to come to find a consultant to help develop a robust cost estimate to inform the funding strategy with public and private partners and prepare for design and construction. This right now includes 5 projects, and we're gonna ask them to deliver an opinion on the design cost, the construction cost, constructability issues, environmental considerations and costs, permit review, and an estimate of all of the soft costs. This scope had been reviewed by New Hanover County and New Hanover High School representatives, and they provided feedback which was incorporated, and they're supportive of this plan, the budget and the timeline. So I'll go through that in just a minute. So with a quick focus here on the standalone projects, again, these are the ones we consider shovel ready. These are cost estimates that we redid in 2024 with real quotes from vendors. They are a year old now, but the chart shows an example of what our 1/3 cost estimates might be. Currently, none of these projects are
They're
not
not programmed
programmed.
or funded within the city's CIP.
or New Hanover County or New Hanover School System. All right, next one.
They have been submitted to the city CIP.
So this, and I apologize, it's hard to read, but I just wanted to highlight that we do have some funded projects in this fiscal year, including New Hanover County Schools upgrades to Godwin. All the upgrades there, as well as the lighting. City of Wilmington has funding for basketball lighting at Robert Strange, which will happen next year, as well as Robert Strange and Legion pool fencing, which is scheduled in this fiscal year. So those proposed standalone projects, we've got them slotted into FY26 and FY27, which is pretty aspirational, but I feel like we've got to put them on a timeline somewhere, and hopefully we'll have the opportunity to fund those in the future.
the position of the deputy city manager is that we should go ahead and submit these to the city CIP, knowing that there's not funding available right now, but they need to get into the chute to be considered when funding becomes available, at which time, you know, those that are utilized by the schools, we would seek, you know, cost sharing. As has been typical.
Then for the proposed projects, for the consultant, I met with Eddie and Tara, Eddie before he left. And we looked at pushing out some of these projects into out years, just to have a timeline for where they might go. So if we're able to fund the RFQ, or if we're able to fund the consultant in FY25, then we could engage them to develop that probable cost and submit our requests to an FY27 capital budget.
I was just reading, that's what I was looking, was a check. Jessica Lober had sent us an email back in February that confirmed that the finance team in the FY26 recommended budget, they'll have $100,000 for the study and $13,000 for the handrails, which is 2/3 of the cost.
In FY26?
Yes.
Yes, so things to bring that up. So yes, we have received confirmation from the county that they have funding available for the study. The city has allocated funding for the study. According to Rob, the school system had not allocated funding as part of the staff recommendation for the school's budget for FY26, but they did acknowledge that in 2024, this board unanimously approved recommending that funding. So he did say that he was working with the school's CFO to see if there was a chance to incorporate funding from the schools into the study. Great, so we're 2/3 of the way there, at least, with the city and the county having set aside money for the study. Which Sally's gonna go into in a second in terms of the process for that and where we are in it. And Ms. Stephanie, since you mentioned the handrails, also at the last meeting, this board had recommended utilizing leftover project balance from the synthetic field to add the necessary handrails that are being recommended by city staff to the Legion Stadium bleachers. We would have moved forward with that project already, since that was the board's recommendation and we had the funding remaining, except for the fact that we are investigating some concrete work that we believe needs to occur beforehand. Again, this project would be adding handrails that are non-existent at the stadium currently, but that we believe are necessary for safety improvements. However, after Hurricane Florence, there were leaks that developed in the concrete of the stairs of the bleachers, so that water was intruding on the restrooms below the bleachers. And so we don't want to go in there and be drilling into concrete that's already compromised with new handrails until we end this. And there was a project completed by the city's Public Works Department after Hurricane Florence, and an attempt to fix this didn't hold up as we thought it would. So our Public Works Department is going back and reinvestigating that to see what, if anything, the new prescription for that is before we would go back in with the handrails. But that money is still there and still available per the board's instructions once we solve that problem to come back in with a handrail project.
Just want to note one other thing that was in the comments about that, well, not particularly the concrete part, but it says, Rob had spoke to Jessica about the 69,000 left over from the turf. It says, however, since the study and handrails on new projects, budget plans to move that remaining money into the general fund.
Okay, so we won't have that. I think, Tara, do you know if New Hanover County has retained the project balance from its share of the synthetic turf, or did that revert back to your general fund?
It reverted back. I think they're just were willing to bear that expense, you know, just out of the general fund if
Okay.
come up.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Ready to go on?
Yep, ready. So I'll just focus on where we are right now with the consultant RFQ. So park staff put an RFQ out, looking for the firm to perform this study. We received 7 submittals in February. It's a list of the firms up there. We also held 2 virtual pre-bid meetings because there was really high interest for this project. Next slide. On the review team for these 7 firms, included myself, Andy Johnson with New Hanover County, and Kim Gordon from our engineering department. We invited Eddie Anderson. It was right at the end of his tenure. They did provide some folks who might be able to step in, but due to the timeline, it just didn't work out. But we narrowed it down to the top 3. And we've scheduled interviews in May, also including a representative from New Hanover County Schools. So we'll have all of our partners represented in that selection. So really the next steps at this time are to select the top firm and pursue scope and fee, and then bring that back to the commission.
In the 3 top groups, too.
Oh,
Who was top 3?
Ewan Cole, Kinley Horn, and CHA.
Is there any way to make the top 4 put LS3P back in there? With Charles and Chris Bone involved?
Let's talk to my director about that.
Can I ask a
What was your
question?
statement?
If any way to add a 4th one and put LS3P back in there, because Charles and Chris Boney, I've had long talks with Chris about their passion for Old Wilmington family, big architect firm for fixing New Hanover High
Pause for
School
just a second.
sports.
Is it on record?
I'm Dan Sutherland.
And I know you, but when you're with,
I am representing New Hanover High School. I was asked to help,
okay,
upgrade some facilities at New Hanover, help try to get post-10, some more home games. Dr. Nixon, Trot, Aaron, several people asked me, so I've been involved since November. I can tell you, it hadn't been smooth, but, and I would just, at the end, I just want to just kind of give my take on,
okay. Oh, and Rob asked you to come.
well, no, I think I invited myself.
Oh.
I talked to Bill Ridenbark. He asked me to come. He
Oh, Bill
told
never
me,
mentioned me.
I know, that's weird
Okay.
because he said I would just be here to answer questions. So
Okay,
I think that's why we invited you to speak at public comment, because folks who aren't actual members of the commission, you're not on the agenda, your opportunity to speak is a public comment, but if it's
can we back
our,
up?
if it's
I
our
would be
chairs.
happy to back up if you want to
Okay,
do a
because
public
I didn't,
comment.
because I'm new and I understand I am very passionate about New Hanover High School.
So am I. I wouldn't.
My boys are 4th generation playing baseball in New Hanover High School. My granddaddy, Jimmy Moore Senior, my uncle James E.
Yeah,
Moore.
when they're in the 50s, I got
Yeah,
brothers.
You know, I'm passionate about it.
Yeah, okay. So you want, your comments are gonna be based on
On
the fields?
the field, basically baseball, New Hanover High School.
Baseball, okay.
And I started calling American Legion post-10 baseball. I met with Morel Fox back in November.
Do you want to get through this presentation and then ask for,
I thought we were backing up.
Yeah,
Sorry.
we were.
okay, no, okay, sorry. I thought we were
Apologize,
gonna-
Sally, I just.
I mean, it's
I was
almost
Just
done.
let me know when you're ready.
Making
You're fine.
sure, are we, okay,
I can wait as long as I get to,
so, because you were advocating for LS3P to be put back
Yeah,
in, that's why we probably sidetracked.
Yeah.
How many more slides do we have?
None.
None,
Okay.
okay. I mean, is there anything you want to add to
Well,
close that up?
I would just say, well, number one, we can go back and look at the evaluation of the criteria to see if it's appropriate to add LSP3 back in. City has a long history of working with LSP3, I personally do. So we'll take a look and see if we can add them back in. The last thing, I guess, before we move away from this is just to remind, Sally, if you could remind the board which actual projects that aren't standalone, that the scope
Sure.
of the study.
Yeah, I'd be happy to.
And if there are any other questions before Sally's finished, before we move on to the discussion.
I would want you to tell me again the 3.
Yeah, I was gonna say
top
something.
3.
Yeah.
That is, I was trying to write it down.
Ewing Cole, Kinley Horn, and CHA.
Ewan Cole.
Yeah, Kinley Horn and CHA, and I mean, your process is pretty thorough, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a
So-
competitive process
Right.
that's run through our purchasing department.
And what would I thought would
through
be,
qualitative
there's a
process.
reason why these three were the top three,
Right.
and so, but
Correct, yes, they were reviewed with a committee, by a committee on a weighted scale.
Yeah.
With specific criteria that we typically use for all selecting
okay,
engineering and
so we change
other
that.
firms.
All right,
So you asked for a reminder of the projects that would be
Yeah, that was
included.
slide pulled back up.
Yep, thanks. So that would be the Legion Fieldhouse, Buck Hardy Field, and Buck Hardy site improvements. So all of the amenities and facilities surrounding the field, the Legion backfield parking lot, and removing the fire tower.
So we're
Doing
looking at
improvements.
demolishing the field house and replacing it just due to its age and condition. So that will be included in the scope. Many of the buildings at Buck Hardy are aged as well, and we basically are able to make sort of Band-Aid repairs to them annually. But we'll take a look at what we need to do to those buildings. Converting the infield at Buck Hardy to synthetic turf. Electrical upgrades that need to be made to Buck Hardy to include lighting and Wi-Fi. And then, you know, in the old but still currently adopted master plan for Legion is demolishing the fire tower and adding parking where that would be taken down. And of course, we have to make all of these improvements aligned with the city's land development code. And so, for example, with parking, that would include necessary landscape improvements that need to occur, and then obviously also stormwater permitting and other permitting that comes with this, and just being more confident in the cost estimates that have been developed. We don't feel comfortable submitting a detailed project to the city's CIP, nor asking the county or the schools to do so without getting a consultant's sharpened eye on these level of projects and looking at them in their totality with the permitting and.
That's developed in the
everything else.
CIP, or is that something that works already?
So our plan, if this study contract is awarded, and again, right now we have 2/3 of the funding, we're hoping that the schools can pull through with the other third of the funding, is that the study would take place and then we would bring that study back to this board with the results and the associated refined cost estimates and ask for your recommendation on it. And then bring it each back to your boards that you represent, city council, county commissioners, and the school board to recommend field house needs to be replaced, where can we slide this into our respective CIPs, this is how much it's gonna cost. To help us formalize a realistic plan over the next 5 years.
What is the timeline for the choosing the downspout?
I think it's next month.
Yes, so we'll be doing the interviews next month and then the information, select the top firm, and then we'll approach them for the scope.
See, I think the repairs are needed, the upgrades are needed, and I hate to stop that timeline from going forward, because we don't meet as frequently.
Right, so currently you you have quarterly meetings on your calendar. And if there's nothing to meet at an upcoming meeting, we send an email out asking, saying staff doesn't have any business for the board. Is there anything the board members want to meet? And if no, then you don't meet that quarter. So your next meeting would be in July. At that time, the study would be underway. It wouldn't be complete yet. I would imagine if the selection committee makes a recommendation in May, then that contract award would happen probably the second June meeting. I imagine we would do this as on a reimbursement basis, the same as we've done with the other projects where the city takes the lead and fronts the money, awards the contract, and then we invoice the county and the schools for reimbursement. So I would imagine we wouldn't be able to get this on a city council meeting over the second meeting in June, and then I imagine it's probably maybe, 5 to 6 month timeline for the consultant to complete the study. So best case scenario, I think we would have information to inform and make recommendations in our various fiscal year 27 budgets, which we probably wouldn't have the money available before then anyway, so that lines up nicely.
Do you have any questions? Cliff, any questions?
I just want to make sure that I've got my numbers correct. So you basically need a third of $100,000.
So the estimate that we put for the study was $150,000. But since we haven't selected the firm yet, once we make the selection, we'll ask them to submit a fee that will then be negotiated, so that 150 is a placeholder right now, could go up, could go down, but we think it'll be around 150.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you so much for your time.
Very welcome. All right, sir, would you like to go ahead and make your public comment?
Yeah, and I'll,
And do me a favor, tell me your name and your
Dan Sutherland.
Dan Sutherland, okay?
Yes, sir. I'm gonna talk about three things: batting cages at New Hanover High School, post 10. And then I've spoken to Bill Blair about this possibility of New Hanover County Endowment buying Legion Sports Complex and taking over. It'll help the cash flow situation. But, batting cages, I was asked by Dr. Nixon Trott and, Aaron to, Dr. Nixon actually helped fund the hitting facility at Hodder High School because he couldn't build batting cages for the baseball team at Legion Stadium because of all the stuff. They asked me to get involved because I've been building in Wilmington with my uncle Tony Dombrowski since 1990. Steve Weiss, Thomas Construction Group. I was the only residential builder for 7 years in there under Bruce Chapel. So I knew, so I went first to Catherine Thurston, the city zone, and said, "Can I put a batting cage right here?" She says, "Yeah, but you need to get with the city." So I met with Morrell. In my first meeting, what the reason post 10 came up, I asked him, I said, how come it's so hard to get post 10 baseball home games at Legion Stadium now the Sharks are here? And Morrell said, "I don't understand why post 10 plays at Legion Stadium." I said, "Time out." I said, "It's American Legion post 10. And just to let y'all know, this is post 10's 100th year. And I got upset at the last meeting I had with Morrell because they refused to give me any May dates because New Hanover High School had games scheduled for playoffs. Well, New Hanover High School, Scotty Sandlin is the coach of New Hanover, and half the players on post 10 will be from Hanover. They can know where it happened. This is the 100th year anniversary of American Legion baseball. As of this year, as of 3 weeks ago, post 10 is not given a dime. They've cut funding off because of lack of home games and the ability to generate revenue. And I was asked by Alan Babb in January to submit, and I'll get to post 10 in a minute, the batting cages. We got funding. It's about a $250,000 building. The reason we want them, the thing that hung up, what I'd like to have fixed, I'd like to have the wording and wherever it is in the city records that if we build this facility, pay for it, give it to the city, put batting cages in there, pitching machines that'll throw a ball 100 miles an hour and weights, that as long as New Hanover High School is playing baseball at Legion Stadium, that Aaron Reimer or the head coach of the girls softball team have full say who goes in that building. I've been told, no, it's gotta be wide open to public, open to events. I can't raise the money. I could raise the money tomorrow to build this thing if I can tell them it's committed to New Hanover High School baseball. I asked Morrell over and over, what size building requires, so they want me to design it. I said, I'll be glad to design, but what size building requires bathrooms? That's a big deal with cost. I said, it'll be bigger than Hoggart's, which is right behind their field. It'll be smaller than Ashley's, which is right to the left of their outfield. It'll be about the size of Laney's, which is right in the center field. So we're the only school in our county that has to go home when it rains in practice. Rains in practice day. So I kept asking, and I said, I want exclusive rights to this building if we build it and give it to the city. And I was basically, Morrell was told to quit communicating with me. And so, because I'm not, there's no filter from my brain to my mouth. I can get a little worked up. So in January, I met with Alan Babb and I emailed Amy, we need Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturdays from May 15th through the end of June for post 10, because I was told the Shark schedule comes out. Morrell told me in November that if I got the request by February, we would be ahead of the Shark schedule and get it, because American Legion doesn't get their schedule till, they ain't got it yet, and they may get it in a couple, it's being made.
Yeah.
And, so I sent the request. I asked to meet with Amy Morrell, and Amy just didn't have time. It's the first time I met you. It's nice to meet you. And so I went in to meet with Morrell about post 10, and we met at the center over there.
Who's Amy Morrell? Do you know Amy Morrell?
No, Morrell Fox.
Morrell
He's the
is
guy that's in
right.
charge of everything that happens.
I
at
think you
Legion
said
Stadium.
Amy and Morrell at the same time.
Yeah, well, I was wanting to meet with both of them. And-
Okay.
and I-
Amy and-
and you were at this meeting, the one that I got upset at. I walked in and there was 2 tables set up in the gym. And I said, I sat down and Morrell handed me this schedule he had made. And it had no games for May 15th on, but the Shark schedule I know has been on the website for the Sharks since 1st February. And so nothing was done with my email in the middle of January to reserve dates. Scotty's working with the Sharks, but I asked Morrell, I said, did you not see my email that I sent to Amy in January that, we need some of these dates? He goes, you never sent me an email. I said, dude, I sent it to Amy. He goes, if you didn't send it to me, I didn't get it. And he walked out and I said something I shouldn't have said. I said, boy, he's not very good at what he does. Maybe he needs to go back to Philadelphia.
Oh, good.
And I probably shouldn't have said that, but I don't understand why, one, we can't change some wording somewhere to where if we fund a $250 bill and have the same thing the rest of the city high schools have, the oldest high school in the city, if we fund it, why can't we have control? It'll be city property. We'll build it to standards. You can ask Catherine Thurston, John Barham, all of them. They know me. If I have a problem, I'll come to them before we build it. I'd like to see that, the wording change to where we can take one of the guys that was going to pretty much pay for this thing, the man that built this building, Dr. Ernest Marriott. God rest him, he died. I buried him in November. I built his house on Figure 8. I was real familiar with him and PPD, the whole damn camera deal, why this building's even here. I can get the money. I mean, we will fund it, we'll bid it, and I read in Port City Daily, the city is short money right now for capital investment projects. I read it all over the place. That's why I talked to Bill Blair. I said, Bill, I need $1 from the county endowment. I said, how about buy this thing so we can get rid of all this red tape that's in the cities, build this facility, turf the field, put a girls softball field back there where the tower is, rebuild the stuff. It needs $50 million worth of stuff. And Bill looked me right in the eyes and said, Dan, you're thinking too small. I got $34 million. So that came up really big after the post-10 fiasco. I mean, they first time, I think they've been playing 100 years. They're still gonna be American Legion post-10. Jerry Arthur, myself, Scotty Stanley are trying to set up a 501c where we can get charitable donations to fund this thing. The problem is, I think they've had, 4 home games the last few years because the Shark schedule fills it up and Legion wouldn't get the schedule in time. I mean, I met with Legion. They told me the dates. And we were turned down for half of it because New Hanover High School has the dates if they have a playoff game. Well, it's impossible for those 2 teams to be playing at the same time. Your season ends next Friday, right? May 1st, or 2 Fridays, 2 weeks. Then the excuse, I've just been given so many reasons why we can't do it. One excuse is given with it's field maintenance. Our guys are tied up, we can't do it. I said, I'll personally pay for field maintenance. Oh, you can't do that. That's not the city's standards. So that's what I'm trying to get. I'm trying to get over this. The coaches are frustrated. Trot and Dr. Nixon are ready to pump it. I mean, Trot's out there. Everything out there. I think everything y'all use. Didn't he buy most of it?
He's been very good.
And he's got a shed out there, and Trot and I were teammates at New Hanover. Awesome guy. You know, God gave him skills that most people don't even have. I promise you, playing next to him. But he's a good Christian, faith-based motivational speaker. His heart's in it, but he will not put a dime into this facility without exclusive use by the New Hanover High School baseball.
Well, thank you very much for explaining that. I understand most of it, although I've never personally met you, which is a shame because I think this committee's been together for a very long
And
time.
I'll serve on the league. I'll be the at-large. I will serve if you want me to.
And I will say, there's an interlocal agreement between Hampton County Schools and Hampton County and the City of Wilmington because we share a lot of costs and there. Obviously, with Legion, there's a lot more than just baseball, which is good. I mean, baseball's awesome, but you know, Hanover's got a good football team. I mean, there's a lot more that
And
goes on.
girls
in
softball,
Legion.
they need. a
Oh,
place.
absolutely.
They need it. I mean, they
We
need it.
understand that. I mean, I was a former school board, so I do
Yeah.
understand. But, you know, I think it's probably a better idea to start probably building some more of these relationships and talk. Cause I've never met you and not that, I mean, I think you've done some great things. I think you've got a great resume. It's just harder when there is an interlocal agreement out there and we try and make decisions because we cost share a lot of things. I was interested when you said that you want the endowment to buy a Legion.
Well, that's Bill Blair's idea. He's the chairman of the endowment board.
Is he? I thought
Mhm.
Shannon was
And
like-
that's the
He's
chairman.
not, he's the chair of the board.
And Chris Boney's on it. Chris Boney called me, Dan, LS3P, we've been pushing.
They've never spoke to any of
Yeah.
us about it either.
Well-
I've met with them a lot of times, so.
He's giving me this long thing to fill out, the application, you gotta have all design. I'm gonna get with Chris Boney on it. Chris and Boney have had conversations. He and Charles, I just renovated Leslie Boney's house on the golf course. They are wanting to fix New Hanover High School sports. It is a disaster right now. It really is. And what I see is, this is a classic example. All these, and it's just the way cities work. I'm not knocking it, but it's gonna take till 2027 to free up any money. I got people ready to write checks. Turfing the field is one of our ideas. We're talking to the Sharks. There's confusion on who even is the general manager of the Sharks. The guy I was told left last year.
Well, I mean,
So I just,
I think I've been on Legion committee probably for the last 2 years. We're now in my 3rd year as a county
Yeah.
commissioner. And I just have not met any of y'all. And I mean, we meet pretty regularly. I mean, we don't always meet. There's something on there, but these projects these improvements are needed very much so.
and I'm amazed the batting cages weren't even listed in all this talk. And that's a facility
Yeah,
at
that's why I say
Legion.
we're missing some
Yeah.
of the conversation, but like I said, we've been meeting for a long time about other things, so you just have turf done on the field at Legion, you know, and.
I went and toured Coach Hood's building and they were turfing. That's where the idea, and seeing the football field, the turf will fix the field maintenance issues, and you get, the Sharks are great. And we're working with them. We're gonna make a deal with them. They're gonna collect all the money in Legion games, and they're gonna give us enough paid on tires.
Right.
You know, that's just, but we're gonna get post-10 playing hopefully this year.
As long as it's city owned, it's, you know, it's a government entity and it plays in the budget, and that's why we have interlocal agreements, because we all have to share decision making and.
Well, I've been told the concessions are totally off the city, and we have to negotiate with Sharks. is what I've been
Sessions
told.
are all the same.
Okay.
Food and beverage concession sales,
At Legion Complex.
Right.
For the baseball field.
the city does not operate food and beverage
That's right.
concessions at, Buckhorn.
And so like I say, and my wife's, we're big into New Hanover baseball boosters. I mean, got Winter Park, gives us hot dogs to sell at the stadium. I mean, it's a great relationship and we've been around forever. I mean, it just pains me to hear, to
I'm
see Legion
surprised I have
Stadium.
not met you before, since we've been
Because-
communicating for a very
And then
long
most of
time.
that go through the school board.
It would have to be, I mean,
Yeah, and I don't know any of that process is. I've played phone tag with Mayor Sapo, because he's hard to get. And Evan Brewer, his brother-in-law, was my teammate on post 10. That's how I got him to call me. We played phone tag on this because I just want help. Like, I'm not gonna be the one to fill out this thing if we go the route of, if the county wants to buy it, take Legion Sports Complex off the city's hands, give them 30 million or
I don't
whatever.
think that's on the table.
But
For the county to buy Legion.
well, but how do we make it a possibility if we need it?
I don't think anybody would want to refuse money or, you know, like that, but like I said, you gotta have a conversation. Like I said, I've never
No,
met you.
no, and that's the thing, I'm learning this, and I I am, you know, I just, I love my work, I love my sports, I love my family, and I love Wilmington. And I just, I see, I hear so many reasons why I can't do something. I've been
Well,
told so many
listen,
reasons why you can't over the
You're
last
very
5
used to
months.
getting them projects done and getting it done, you know, but, you know, there are government entities involved. that
Right.
You
So-
need
so
to have
Who
relationships
can I,
with.
who can I get to help me do
You
that?
started off
It's up to
coming
you.
here,
Okay, good.
so that's a good thing.
Can I be added as an at-large on the police?
There's a process for that. Is there an opening?
You can go to the city's website and I'll send you the link.
Okay.
But not a guarantee.
No, I'm not, no,
You would,
And just like, for
you
example,
would have to
when you
submit an
mentioned,
application to
Yeah.
the city clerk.
and you mentioned you wanna add like a fourth person.
Yeah.
And,
no, he was on the original list.
yeah, no, but I'm saying, but if the process
Yeah.
says, the committee looked at it and says, okay, these are the top 3, it would be unfair for anybody else to come up and say, oh, by the way, let's add this guy because he's a friend, a good guy, and all that kind of stuff. That's that.
And that's why I asked. So
Yeah,
I'm fine with
that's
about
that good old buddy
doing
boy.
it. That's why,
system.
and the only reason I asked
Make sure we
is,
don't do that.
and I'm not, it wasn't buddy.
I know, but I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
yeah, I grew up with Chris Boney,
That's what I'm saying.
5 blocks away, but it's just I just know, and I'm fine with anybody. That was literally a question. I
Okay.
was asking.
Okay.
So I'm all for that. I have no ties. You'll know from me, you know, construction's a crooked industry. I don't take kickbacks. I don't do anything. You do your job good, do what I tell you to do. You can go to the next one. You can ask
Let me
everybody.
just say this, first of all, I appreciate your passion for New Hanover High School. These folks know how passionate I am about New Hanover High School. We're in the middle of fixing that entire school. It's gonna be a big ordeal. We're waiting for the capital improvement plan on that. It's coming anytime now.
And I want to make sure, I told Chris Boney this, I was a longtime member of St. Andrew's Covenant Presbyterian Church across the street. I've changed churches since, but it was tough, but when I was on the building and grounds there, I told Chris Boney this, the basement kept flooding,
Oh, it's bad.
okay? And I was building Mary Clark's house, which is Charles Boney's cousin on Cedar Island in 2017. And there at the end of Cedar Island, and the city had a flush, water, where they flushed water out, because they were the end of the pipe on city water, and it flooded in the street. So I got to see it, I said, hey, let's figure out how we can put a drain and let this stuff go in the waterway. And then while I was out there, I said, hey, I got a question for you. How come every time we have a storm, the basement floods in St. Andrew's Covenant Presbyterian Church? I said, we're getting ready to put gutters on there, and I'm gonna put a big septic tank in the ground, and I'm gonna blow this stuff out in the stormwater. I said, what's wrong with stormwater? He told me there's a hump. You go down Market Street, you got Whitefront, St. Andrews, and Hanover. It goes downhill, then it goes back up where Bob King used to be, where the thing is, and then it goes down here. He says there's a hump in the stormwater right there. And it won't do it. I asked Chris Boney, if you got foundation issues at New Hanover High School, and you got a hump in stormwater right there, that,
It's why there's a big old crack in it. That's what I'm
all the
saying.
work you're doing fixing, you know,
Yeah.
maybe we need to look, because
Well,
I'm real big on that. You can't fix problem, you figure out where it comes from. I don't know that.
Make sure he puts it in that capital improvement.
Well, you just wanna make sure, you don't have to redo cutting roads, you just put a lift station in and pump it over the hill when it rains, cause I'm telling you, that church floods every storm and it's stormwater drainage. And we're fine with it, they got it fixed, but when I saw that money being spent in Hanover, I told Chris Boney this about a month ago, talking on the phone. I said, make sure y'all look into this, cause the guy what's the guy, the lead architect, designer over there in the school? I know him well. I can't think his name, but he was also involved. He was in a meeting with me at St. Andrews talking about
Talk
stormwater.
about Eddie
Eddie
Anderson.
Not Eddie Anderson, he's an engineer.
Oh, engineer.
Engineer.
Hanover County Schools.
Leanne Lawrence is the project.
She's-
manager.
Yeah, but the engineer, I can't remember his name, but I'm terrible with names unless somebody makes me mad.
And as I say, your passion is noted, and I
Yeah.
think you have some insight, and I think you have history, which I think is all great. We gotta work with each other, you know, and I know it's probably hard for you to think, oh, you know, I got this money, I got this passion, I got all this. But we have to work together, because there is an agreement right now legally, the city, county, and the schools kind of own it, so,
Okay, well, how do we get that agreement to say if we build these batting cages
you know.
and pay for it, put it on there as city property, then Hanover High School baseball and softball have full
The
access
answer
to
for
it?
you, yes, to that?
If I can help here, the exclusive use of a batting cage doesn't have anything to do with the wording of the interlocal agreement governing athletic facilities. that is a more of a statutory thing. So if there is a public land, public park operated by a municipality, there can't be a segment of that that is exclusive to one party to use. So that wouldn't come from changing any local agreement that we have. And I know I've had this conversation with you a few times. I'm happy to get something in writing from the city's attorney to provide to you, and I'll copy everybody on the board.
So on rainy days, should we put the kids on a school bus and go to Hogger Lane or actually use those facilities with them? I mean, that's, we're not gonna do that, but we have all the ways to
I
do
know.
this, and we can do the protest, right? That's not me. You earn what you produce.
Could you go ahead, what you got?
We can't go in the Sharp's office. We can't go in the shed where the workers work out of. Right?
You can if you're invited in.
Well, I mean, I can't go in, I can't rent the Sharp's office. Can I?
No,
But it's on the land.
but it's not a public amenity. It's not a recreation amenity.
That's what we call that.
Well,
Public amenity.
And
I'm trying, I came here for two reasons, just.
And I didn't tell him about it. I mean, I didn't.
I keep getting secondhand information, yeah, and I'm the
Probably
guy,
mad at me.
I'm the guy on the ground, I mean, I spent 40 hours at Legion the last 3 days.
Let me say one thing real quick for a sec. And talking about communication, I was having lunch with Scotty Sandler. You know Scotty, I know him. He was my coach in 1990 at New Hanover High School. Talking about communication, Amy, I'm not throwing you under the bus. He has never personally met you. And he is
We're gonna,
but
I
go
think
ahead.
we're gonna keep our
Go
comments
ahead.
to the projects. We're
But,
gonna
like,
talk about that.
and I'm just. When the Sharks come to play, they want to use our batting cages. They want to use the stuff that we purchase. And I get kickback, right? I get fussed at
Who's
because
we?
me,
I mean, no, I'm sorry.
the baseball
We
team,
purchased. You mean, is it?
the
booster
baseball and the
club?
baseball booster club,
Okay.
the money that we raise.
Okay,
So it's just like we have a chance to spend a lot of money to help the kids. We purchase everything ourselves. And we can't do that if everybody who wants to come to Legion Stadium gets to use it. I mean, the equipment is unbelievably expensive. One Shark season is equivalent to 4 or 5 of ours. And I've got 24 players in our program total right now. That number's up from last year. But we get an hour and a half a day. My kids do not play at the same level as the Sharks players. They have 60 kids on their roster. They play 3 times the number of games we do. So when they use our stuff, it needs to be replaced. And it keeps switching ownerships. And so, like, I haven't been able to talk to the owner this year. So there's a very real chance that the Sharks aren't gonna have batting cages. They're not gonna have anything.
so let me ask you to clarify.
Yes.
The booster club buys equipment.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
Other folks use it,
Yes, ma'am.
and that's because it's left there
Well,
or because?
Through the last 2 years, this is my 4th year as the head coach. I worked with Coach Floyd since 2019. The last 2 years, they have paid money to rent our equipment.
Okay,
Uh,
they don't just use it, but they.
But prior to that, that hasn't been the case, and there's been a lot of pushback towards me and our guys in the school because we're charging money.
Okay,
Now, with that said, is, you know, we're trying to make somewhere north of $250,000 donation here that will not only give our kids more time to practice, it can relieve the stress on the field, require less maintenance of the field.
Okay. It sounds to me like we need to come together in a different setting and talk about this because, I mean, I think that's a good idea.
That's
I
the
feel
only
like-
reason I want to come in, and I've been trying through Sappho.
Okay.
I was amazed Bill Ridemore. I love Bill to death. Monica is his niece.
Well, you said
Grew
you
up
found
with
the right people. It's
Yeah,
okay.
I
We can
just, but I,
figure it out.
and I'm as unorganized as anybody, because I am
Okay.
not an organizer. I'm a good doer.
I just wrote my own piece card, because I didn't bring my card. Let's figure out how we can have a meeting, come together and talk about this more and see if we can work some stuff out.
So I think we could,
There's
I
some
think we can try.
passion here, but with the work of it's on the agenda, that's what we pretty much say too. We can come back to it.
I think if you
That is-
if you get this property in New Hanover County's name, I could probably raise every
And you're
time you
probably
need
right.
to improve it. And you half-heartedly said that in one of our
I
conversations, that
mean,
you'd be fine with.
it's a lot, because look,
It's just
I'm a
perfect
Hanover
timing.
graduate, I can tell you right now, New Hanover High School does not have the same as the other high schools. They don't have facilities, it's kind of hard because we're gonna share.
And like you said, bringing softball, out
It's
there would
tough.
be great, yeah. What we're doing now is, and again, they're not the same.
And Morrell told me, he said, well, if we tear the Hanover down, we gotta build a new field. Don't tear that school down. No, please don't. I know
It's a
it's.
debate, but we're not
Yeah,
getting into that.
But anyhow,
It's already-
but like I say, but I just, I am,
Yeah,
I can be an asset,
well, let's
values of projects.
figure out how
getting it
we
done.
become assets with each other and try not to tear each other down.
Well, it's just, I've been torn down
I
so
know you're
much about
frustrated.
how
can see
I am.
that.
I mean, not knowing why Post 10 played baseball at Legion Stadium and in charge of everything that goes on out there, that's a problem.
Okay, well, let's pick this up again. Let's talk about it. You got our numbers on there
And I go to Morgan.
and
Yeah,
we'll,
and Rob, I
I
had
mean,
no idea. When he
right,
was a realtor, I was trying to get him to do some stuff with us through Caldwell, but he's,
He was
our
down there
kids
too.
grew up playing.
Is there a way to, I mean, this is a building we're talking about. Is there a way to word that as an office?
That's what I wrote. That's what I wrote. Can I put an office in the corner?
I think that,
Because you can go
Chair's
in-
made a great
So
suggestion
we're
on
gonna
having
regroup.
set aside
we're gonna, I mean,
conversations on how to get it done. But I will on record as saying that I told, Dan multiple times that we're a facility to be donated, on behalf of New Hanover High School, that New Hanover High School would have priority use, and that would be formalized. And that's actually the same reason why we cannot, even though it's the same kids, schedule on top of potential New Hanover High School games until that season's absolutely done, because that's in an agreement as well and is,
That's right.
good spirited as we all
The
may be
contracts
about
and
it.
all that.
And American Legion, I'm not gonna go on the line and step outside of a
And
language of a
I
contract.
appreciate that. And that warning just lost funding for Post 10 baseball, first time in 100 years. Because we can't get home games because of the conflict.
We,
in the shore.
as you know, we have set aside 12 days, which is half of
Post
the
10,
American
see?
Legion
Post 10
schedule.
said it.
yeah, we're gonna.
Time out. They said how, 12
Sir,
days.
this
which
is a
happened to
public
schedule.
meeting, we're gonna go ahead and cut.
No, wait a
that
minute,
off.
no, let me say
Sir,
something, okay,
Sir, you're a guest
it's being
here.
skewed.
No,
Yes, it
look,
is.
if you want to continue dialogue with folks, this is not the way to continue dialogue. And this, if you wanna help, let's figure it out. And this is a public meeting and we will keep order.
And am I still banned
Sir.
from all city offices without written invitation? Cause
Sir.
I've got that in writing from Amy.
Okay, well, we can talk about that after too, but this is a public
Okay.
meeting, we're gonna finish this meeting.
Okay.
If you don't mind, I mean, we've given y'all plenty of time to talk about it, you got valid concerns, you got high passion. And what we wanna do is figure out how we get solutions, okay?
That's what I wanna do.
That's fair,
Yeah.
but this is a public meeting and it has to be run this way and we can talk after. Is that okay with you?
That's
Is that
fine.
gonna bother you?
No,
Okay.
I just want. I don't
Okay.
know.
Is there any old business? Anybody? No, I think old business is what we just talked about, which is getting our funding to make the repairs that we
Yes,
need to
ma'am, I
make.
was gonna talk about the handrails, but we covered that. during the
Yeah,
presentation.
yeah, and I had brought that information from Jessica, I had an email, I mean, because we hadn't met yet. Any new business?
I forget to mention, like we meet quarterly, of
Right.
course, anytime we need to meet,
You can call,
Right.
you can have call meetings.
Absolutely, let us know if we have to make a decision.
something comes up.
It's a very good point.
That's it.
Okay, and unless there's any other business, we are going to adjourn, but you can't vote on it, so we're just gonna go adjourn, so you don't have a forum.
There you go.
All right, thank you all.
Thank you all.
Give me a second, sir. Okay.